Hey, hello everyone. How are you doing? Hope you're doing great. So today in the Next.js series, we are going to do something different. We are going to build a project and we are going to build something interesting and useful. Today, I want to show you how to integrate a webhook with Next.js, and we'll be using Next.js latest version, Next.js 15. And for the webhook purpose, we will be taking Discord as an example and going to build something really cool and interesting stuff. I hope you like it. And if you do so, don't forget to give a like and post a comment of how you found this particular video. Also, a request would be please subscribe because this channel need your support. I put a lot of effort in creating content in between my busy schedule to make sure those quality content reaches you on time. So if you get any benefit out of the content that I create, please show your support by subscribing to the tapaScript. Thank you very much. What are you going to learn? We will start by learning what is Webhook because we are going to build a project using Webhook and Next.js. Then we'll be setting up Discord webhooks. We'll learn how to set this up and why Discord webhooks are something really awesome thing. Then we'll create a Next.js application using Next.js 15 and we'll learn how to communicate with Discord webhooks from Next.js application. Here, one thing to note down. I have been teaching a lot of stuff around Next.js 15 recently. I have taught form hooks from React 19 and how those can be used in Next.js 15. At the end, we'll be building something cool, we'll be building something useful. You might be able to use it for your use case. Let's get started by explaining what is a webhook. And this explanation will be at a very high level because the focus of this video is to build the project than it's a video for webhook itself. I may create a video on webhook in depth as part of my playlist F4 fundamentals. You can check that out. But for now, let's take it at a higher level. So what is a webhook? Webhook is definitely a way of communicating between your client and server, but this is way different than communicating between your client and server using the traditional polling method. In polling method, what happens if you have a client and you have the API gateway, you have API, and if you have certain service at the server side, you keep polling for the service intermittently. There might be short polling where very frequently you poll for the service, and once the service is ready, service respond back, and then you stop polling, you send the response back to your client. Think about a situation that you have an email service and that email service basically having an email sender. This might be a third party application that is responsible for sending email. But if you are going with the traditional polling method, what will happen? Like once you get an API request for this email service and email service receive this, it will keep polling after sending the request to the email sender that whether the email sender has sent this request or not. On the first poll, it might figure out that the email has not been sent, it is in progress. It will again poll after few seconds to determine whether the email has been sent or not. Again after few seconds, again after few seconds, and finally it will find, okay, email has been sent, then it will send a response back and the response will come to the client. Here with the polling, lot of resource misutilization because you don't know when your action hasn't been taken, like the sending of email, and you will keep polling. Now with the webhook, it's still an HTTP communication, but things are a bit different. Here you don't poll. When the request comes till this email service and it has to communicate to email sender, it register something called a webhook with that external email sender. The webhook in a plain English, I can tell it as a callback URL. It means that whenever you are done with your work, in this case it is sending email, call this particular URL back. And once this URL is called after this particular work has been done, the result is sent back to the client. And this result is sent back to the client by invoking an HTTP request on this particular callback URL. Okay, so here if you notice, like it is not only from client towards the server the request is getting invoked, but it is also server invoking an HTTP request on this particular callback URL saying that, hey, this particular result is ready for you, take this result and do whatever you're going to do. So this is at a very high level what a webhook is. It's a HTTP call through which you don't have to really do polling. You will just register a callback URL with your external service. When the external service is done with its work, it will give a HTTP call, HTTP request on that particular URL along with the result so that the result will be back to the client and the client can process the result. Discord is a very well-known application that most of us might be using. You can create your own Discord server and inside the Discord server you can create multiple channel and on that channel multiple folks can communicate whether via text or via voice. If you have not used Discord ever, you can go to discord.com, download Discord, register for it, and then you will get an interface like that. Right now, I'm showing the Discord of tapaScript. If you're part of the Discord server already, great. If you're not, please join Discord server so that we can keep discussing a lot of programming and the technical aspects on this Discord server. The link to join to the Discord server is in the description of this video. Great. The project that we're going to do from a Next.js 15 application using the Discord server's webhook, we are going to send certain message to a particular channel. Okay. Now this might be a very simple sounding use case. Yes, it is simple, but it is powerful. So on your Discord server, you can create multiple channels. So I have created a text channel called test. Now some of these channels are public. People can access them. I have created test as a private channel so that I can test this particular integration Next.js and Discord, and maybe later point of time I can delete this channel. So once you go to any channel, you will find this particular edit channel symbol, this kind of gear icon. So once you click on that, here you will find something called integration. You see this integration? Now click on this integration. Here you will find something called webhooks. Go inside webhooks. Then you have something called new webhook. Clicking on this, you can create a new webhook. I have created a webhook already. You just need to click on it, nothing more than that. And once you go inside a webhook that you have just now created, you have a button called copy webhook URL. So click on this copy webhook URL and you will be copying a webhook URL. This is the callback URL I was demonstrating a while back while explaining about the webhook. So this is what you copy paste somewhere and keep it safe. Don't share with anyone because this is a sensitive information. Here I have created a Next.js application already. This application doesn't have any code other than what we get from Next.js when you create a Next.js 15 application. We are going to put our own code. The first thing that we are going to do is to create a .env file where we are going to keep the Discord webhook URL we just now copied, and we'll start from there. So right click on new file, create a .env file. Over here, I have created a key called discord_webhook_URL. You can give any name, and the value of it, the webhook URL I just now copied from my Discord. All right, so this is done. Now you can close this file. Up next, we are going to create a form, a very simple form. What is the intention of this application? In this application, we'll create a simple form. In that form, there will be some basic details like your name, email ID, maybe a message that you want to give it to someone, and a submit button. Once user fill up those and then click on the submit, we are going to gather those information back, formatted in such a way that it is understood by this particular Discord webhook payload, and using that I will send it to the Discord, that particular channel. So this is what we're going to achieve. So for that we need a form, right? Under the app folder, create a new folder called _components. Here we are going to keep all the components. Let's create the form component. Let's name it as message-form.jsx. As we are using Next.js 15, we will be using the form component of Next.js. We won't be using the HTML's form. I have a separate video where I have explained what is the form component all about that got introduced in Next.js 15. You can check out that video for in-depth understanding of the form component. Here, just at a higher level, the form component is an extension of the HTML form, but it has certain additional qualities. So we are going to use the Next.js form component. For that purpose, let's import form from next-form. Let's create the component as message form, and from here we will return a form, and inside the form we will have few input fields. So for example, let's take the first input field, which is a text box. Placeholder is your name. We have given a name called, say, username. Okay. Now in this state, let me export this particular message from here and then go back to our page.js file, delete all this kind of stuff, import the message form, and then in the return, just remove all this thing and use the message form. As you see at the right side, we have this text box appearing over here with a placeholder called your name. So that means my form is started coming to my page. Great. Now it's time to go back to the form and start adding other input fields. So keep adding few more input fields. What I'll be adding is after the name, let me add an email. So I see the email the moment I have added. Then let's add our option, a select box option, to say like what kind of message we are planning to send. So I have added a select box now. The name is type, and then added few options like one is thanks message, one is question answer, another is general. So I can see this particular box is appearing over here, the list box. If I click on it, it says say thanks, QA and general. I can select any of them from here. All right. After that, let's put one more, but this time we'll put a text area which is about a particular message. Like the name is message, placeholder say what do you want to say. That means a user can type any message over here. Okay. And then let's create a button. This is a simple submit button. The name is sent. We might want to add one more field. I'm just getting curious about it. I'll explain in a bit. Like after the name and email, let's add one more input field, which we say is a DP. DP means your profile picture, let's say. So here, if you have a public URL where your profile picture is hosted, you can give the public URL to your profile picture and then submit. Why? Because whenever we capture this name, email, profile picture, the type of message, and then the actual message content and says send, we can capture all this thing, format a beautiful message and send to the text channel that we have seen on Discord in certain formatted way. So you can see a picture of yours who is sending the message, the name of yours who is sending the message, the actual message, the email and the type of message. So that will be great to capture this one together. Okay. So this is our form. Let's make this form looking little better by adding a class name. Not bad. It's looking little better. It's center aligned. Now the next thing we're going to do is we have to capture all these details that somebody will be inserting in this form, and then when the person click on this send, we have to take the details and do something. So we are going to use something called a server action. And again, if you're new to server action, new to Next.js server action, I have a crash course for that. You can go through it, can learn in details, but at a high level it is nothing but a very regular function, but an asynchronous function that run on the server. You can invoke it from the server component or the client component of a Next.js application. In our case, so far, this component is a server component because I have not used use client anywhere. And from here, I am going to invoke that particular server action. Okay, so to create a server action inside the app folder, let's create a new folder called actions. Inside that, we will create a new file called index.js. Of course, we have to give this directive called useServer to let Next.js know that this is going to be a server action or the server function. Now let's create export const send discord message, any name you can give. It has to be an async function, and then you can accept form data over here, and then we will do a try catch so that we can handle any error. Here we can give console dot error of error dot message. Okay, we will handle this error little bit better way after some time. So as I have got form data, from this form data I can get all the details that somebody would be putting in these fields and submitting this form. How am I going to do that? I can do that using something called object dot form entries and pass the form data to it. Very recently, I have created a shorts explaining this process in details. You can take a look into it. Now I have this raw form entries. Now this raw form entries now I can utilize because it has all the details. It has name, email, this particular image URL, type and everything. To call that callback URL that we have copied, the webhook URL we have copied from Discord, and pass a payload that that particular webhook URL expect us to pass in a particular format, and then see whether my message is getting created on Discord or not. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. But before that, my way of building application is very incremental. I don't want to do everything and do the testing at the end. Rather, I want to do the testing now itself so that I figure out that this particular action is really working well with my form. So I'm going to import this action called send Discord message, and then take send Discord message, put a action over here and put this action over here. Oh, it is failing now only. as you can see, because I have made a terrible mistake of missing this guy over here for the arrow function. All right, so things are back. Now, what I'm going to test here, I'm going to insert some details. Let's say Tapas, email is tapas@email.com. Image URL, let's give something random because I don't have one now. Message type, let's say thanks, thank you for everything. And now I am going to send this one. Now, as it is a server function, I would be expecting that this particular message that I have captured using console.log will come to my server terminal. So let's send it. The moment I sent it, you can see it that this message has got captured as an object where username, email, DP, type, message. These are the name of the input field that I have given inside my form, and these are the values that I have entered over here. So I have this particular object from which I can take the username, email, DP, type, and message and construct a payload that I can send to Discord using the Discord webhook URL. Let's do that. So for that purpose, I'm going to use the fetch, the JavaScript web API, and we have to use something called await along with it. Here, I'll be using the Discord webhook URL from the .env file, so that I can access using process.env.discord webhook URL. So this is the URL where the call has to be made, the fetch call has to be made, and it has to be a post call. Okay, this has to be a post request. So for that, I will be doing method colon post, and you have to pass a certain headers, which is called application/JSON content type. So here headers content type is application/JSON, and then you have to pass the payload in the body section. So here you will be doing JSON dot stringify, and here I'll be passing the required payload. Now for this Discord webhook URL, you need to follow certain schema. The schema is available on Discord documentation. I will be using a good portion of it while building this particular schema, and I'll be explaining that the kind of message that I want to send and I want to build. But if you want to get deeper into it, you can go to Discord documentation and you can actually start learning a lot about it. I've also shared a link in the description of this video where there is an example of this particular format and what is the expected output of it. So looking into that, you can also improvise on top of the payload that I'm creating over here. Okay, so let's go ahead and start creating the payload. So first thing would be something called username. You have to send a username. And if you remember, we have a username inside this raw form entries, right? So I can take this username. Then you can send a avatar URL. So when the message goes to the Discord particular text channel, it not only shows like who has sent the message, but it can also show the person's profile picture or a DP or an image representing like who is sending this message, that particular person. That you can get it inside the avatar URL. And here, as you guess it correctly, we can send raw form entries.dp. Okay. Now, as DP is an optional attribute that how we have kept, people may have or may not have, I can do it in a way like if the DP is not sent, then set it to a default. Okay, the default, if I copy, open another tab, go to that. This is the default image I'm using. So you can use any image of your choice. Next, you have to send a content. This is basically the message content. So for that, we have this text area. And from the text area, we can get the message that is raw form entries.message from this text area. So far so good. We actually have username, avatar, and the content. Along with that, in the Discord message, you can also use something called embeds. So you can send a bunch of embeds of your choice. It is an array. And inside that, a bunch of properties you can send. You can send color, you can send images, you can send thumbnail, bunch of things. These are there. All the schemas are there in the documentation. Let me use something which is I feel useful, is something called fields. This is again an array. Inside that, you can specify a key value pair of fields that you want to send as part of the message, and it will go in the embed form. I'll show you what is it. So let me send email because I'm collecting the email, and the value of it could be the value that I'm collecting, and I want to show it as inline. Similarly, I'll just copy this guy, and as we are also collecting the type, the second one will be the message type, and here this can be type. All right. So far, I think we are good. So if I now refresh this, start filling this up and send, I expect this particular payload to be formed with the data that I've collected from the form. The data is coming from here, which I have already printed and showed you guys. This is the same data that I have taken from here. Username, email, you can see like username, email, DP, message, everything I have taken from there, right? You have seen that. And then I have created a payload that Discord understand to create a message. The Discord understand as part of his webhook URL. That is exactly what we are sending on this particular request and with a post method. So let's go ahead and try this out and let's see if it fails. But before that, let's go to Discord. In this test, there is no message. Now I'm bringing the Discord over here so that my expectation is whenever I'm filling this up and say send, one message should come or an error will come that will rectify. So let's do again tapas email tapas at email.com. I'll keep it empty so that my default DP will picked up. Message type, say thanks. I'll say thank you very much and let's do the send. Yes, we got it. Thank you very much, Tapas Adhikary. We got the email tapas at email.com and message type is thanks. Awesome, isn't it? So what do you think of it? It is great, right? As we are able to send the message successfully using the webhook to the Discord server, do you think this particular project is over? No, the project is not over. We have to make this project little bit more elegant, little bit more stable. You would have noticed that after sending the message, there is no feedback on the UI saying that this message has been sent successfully, or if there was an error, there was nothing on the UI saying that there is an error. Also, when the message was being sent, there was no feedback on the UI saying that something is in progress because it took some time for that particular message to come. So to handle all this thing, we are going to use a hook that I have actually created a video on very recently. It's called useActionState. useActionState is the hook that got introduced in React 19, and as Next.js 15 has React 19 stable version in it, we can take advantage of this very hook called useActionState to manage the state in the component. The component is nothing but the message form component. In that particular component, we can manage its state, success, error state based on the result or the outcome of our action. Our action is defined over here, which is responsible for sending a Discord message. So let's do that. Let's start integrating it. Now to do that, let us first import useActionState from React. The moment I import, the UI is breaking because I am using a hook, so I have to make this component as a client component. No worries about that. So I got the UI back. Now I have to define this useActionState. If you are new to useActionState, I would suggest you go through my video on useActionState where I have explained the things in depth with the project. So I have used the useActionState. What is the way that we should use? It takes two mandatory parameters. One is the action. This is the action that I have passed over here. And the second is the state value that you want to initialize with. For us, the state value is the form state, which is the current value of the state, and I'm initializing it with the null value. Okay, and it also gives me a new form action, and that is the action I should be using now, using this instead of this send Discord message. It also gives me a state value called is pending, through which I can know that whether this form submission is complete, the transition is complete or not. Is pending will be true if the form submission is not complete. It is going on. Is pending will turn false. When the form submission is done, the transition happen. All right. So with all these details, now there is one thing is about the state. What is the state value? The initial value of the state is null. Well, then what will be the state value after that? After that, the state value will be the return of the action that you pass to this useActionState hook. The return of the function is what? Send Discord message. If I go to the action, it doesn't return anything right now. So I can change the code now a little bit for it to return a success or the error condition. So at the end of it, I can come and return an object, say success equals to true if everything happens correctly, and say your message has been sent successfully. In case there is an error in the catch section, I can say success false, I can say message problem in sending message, show the actual message. Great, isn't it? Now it returns an object which has two properties. One is success, another is message, in both success case and the failure case. So if I come here, once this particular use action state perform his job, so for example, when the submit button I hit at the bottom, this gets executed because this is the action I'm passing, and for that it gives me a form action. This is how the use action state and this particular form is attached through this particular action. And it also returned me the new state value from the actions return value, which is nothing but an object that I'm returning from here, which has a success and the message property. Now I can extract this success and the message property from here. I can see whether form data.success is true, then show the message in green color. If the form data.success is false, then show the message in red color, right? That I can do. Now to do that, what I am going to do is like I'm going to use a library, a toaster library called Sonar. So I'll install this. Sonar has been installed. If I go to package.json file, along with Next.js 15, React 19, I can see also Sonar. Great. Now I have to initialize this. For that, I have to go to layout.js file. I can import the toaster from Sonar at the top, and then I can keep the toaster just below the children with rich colors so that it comes with, green, red, all this color. Then I can go to message form, and here I can import toast from Sonar, and as I have to show the toast message after the form submission completes, if there is a success or error, so that means I have to handle that as an effect. So for that purpose, let me also import use effect from React. Over here, the normal use effect, nothing to do with Next.js directly. Take the callback and the dependency. Now what will be the dependency? I have a form state. Inside form state, I have a success. I know that. So that can be a dependency, because when the success become true, I have to show the success message. When the success become false, I have to show the error message. Great. Here I can write a logic like if form state.success is true, in that case, let's show a success message using toast.success and show the form state.message, the actual message I'm sending from there. Else if it is false, in that case, let us show a toast.error. Excellent. Now, along with this, I can do one more thing using this is pending. Let us use that also. Is pending will be true when the form submission is in progress, and it will turn to false when the form is submitted, the transition happen. So it means that I have the send button, right? This send button, instead of saying it send, I can do a condition saying that if is pending is true, call it as sending. I'm sending the message or sending message. Once the is pending become false, it means form submission is done. Whether there is a success or error, bring it back to send. You can in fact disable this button using this is pending. If this pending is true, make this button disable. Once it is false, bring it to the enable state. So at this stage, I think we have done most of it. There is one small catch I have not taken care because I want to show you the error message. Then I'll take care of that. So let's go ahead and start filling this up. When I'm filling this up right now, things will fail. I know it will fail. And if you have seen my last video on use action state, you know why it will fail. Guess it by the time I fix it. So let's do my name test at test.com. I leave this. Then I say thanks. I say thanks. Now notice once I do send, this will become sending. Then there will be a red error message over here. It will appear for some time. This sending becomes sent again after that. Okay, so send, you see over here, problem in sending, undefined is not iterable. It was sending for a moment and then turned back to send. But why this error? When I explain about the use action state hook, I mentioned that whenever you use this hook, your action should take two mandatory parameters. One is definitely form data, but that should be the second parameter. The first parameter is always the previous state value. It returns the return value of this particular action in form of form state, but it also can track the previous state value in it in this particular parameter. As we are having only one parameter, this was the previous state, it was not the form data. I have just made it sure like we have previous state and form data separately. Now the form data will be iterable and this should be successful. Let's say James Bond, email j007@bond.com. I won't give James Bond an image for now. Let's say general, hey, I am Bond. And let's do send. Sending, Your message has been sent successfully, and hey, I am James Bond. I'm saying, hey, I'm Bond, right? So I got Bond's message, Bond's email, general message, Bond's name, and the default picture. If I had given an URL where a particular picture is there, that picture also will come over here. The code is in GitHub, and the link to the code is in the description of this video. Go ahead, pull it, change it, test it out. So guys, did you like it? If you please give a like, please give a comment and subscribe to tapaScript. We learn like what is Webhook, what is Discord's Webhook, how to take the Webhook URL and connect to a Next.js application. We were able to send the message to the Discord's one of the text channel using the Webhook, and then we improved our application's capability to show the feedback messages, error and the success message using our React 19 hook, an awesome hook. So with that, I end this video. Very soon I'm going to come up with another video. There are a couple of things due from me. One is explaining about the Next.js caching and a few pattern in terms of handling component. Those two are coming very soon. Stay tuned.